streaming. So like in theory, we're live streaming now. I guess it might take a little while for YouTube to catch up. Is this, yeah, they're okay. Like I think. Are we live? Placeholder thing, okay. Cool, excellent. Hello, the internet. We should have started earlier because I could have told you about the, you could have heard about the Festival of Commoning from Tom, and you could have heard me talk about the fact that this is going to be every second Wednesday of the month from now on, lots of different talks. So yeah, I figured I would kick things off with OpenStreetMap because A, I could persuade me to talk about it really easily, so it made the speaker stuff simple. And B, I'm intending to run an active travel hack day, which I think is going to be the weekend of the 20th, 21st of September. Not totally settled on the date, which of those days it is yet. And that will be just a day of coming here and like hacking on stuff to do with active travel. So that could be going out and improving OpenStreetMap for cyclists or for people wheeling, or for public transport or something, or I suppose that's not active travel, is it? Anyway, like we might see if Tunde wants to talk about his live bus map that he's been working on and things like that. So yeah, a day to come and kind of work on things. And because I didn't want to spend the day just telling people what OpenStreetMap was, I thought I would give a talk telling people what OpenStreetMap was before the hack day. And so this is what you've all been duped into. And I don't have loads of slides, but there are a whole load of websites that I'm going to be showing. I'll share links to all of them afterwards. But yeah, basically it's going to be mostly me sat like flicking between tabs and opening things in a web browser. Yeah, I suppose that'll be about it. So that's why you can't see me on the internet. It's definitely not that I couldn't get the webcam to work at the same time as streaming the screen. Honest. So yeah, what is OpenStreetMap? I mean, this is OpenStreetMap. It's a map on the internet. It's a bit like Google Maps, only better. For some value, but I mean it is in lots of ways. So, like everyone, this is what people I think of when they think of OpenStreetMap, but actually, OpenStreetMap is really more a kind of a community or a database and a load of information in a database. And so this is the kind of standard, like what you'll get if you go to openstreetmap.org. And so, you know, it's like a map. You can scroll it around, you can zoom in and zoom out and, you know, do all sorts of things you might want to do with a map. You can get directions, you can search for places, you know, it's kind of a lot of mappy sort of stuff. So far it's quite similar to Google Maps. But the other thing you can do, because it's just lots of map data, is that you can choose different ways of showing the stuff. So this is the kind of car-centric default view, where like if I zoom out quite a bit, then you start to see like the motorways are quite important because they're the ways that people in cars get around. But because it's just a load of data, we can have different ways of looking at things. And so there are a whole bunch of different map layers that you can switch to instead. So you can do like the transport map, which is more like this is where all the trains go. And then the ones that I use quite a lot are the two cycle views. And so now the motorways are kind of still there if you know where to go and look for them. But motorways aren't super useful for bikes, so they're not very visible. Like they're useful landmarks to know, like, oh yes, I've gone under the motorway, I need to turn left now. And instead, you get the National Cycle Network being much more visible. And if we zoom in, we start to see the kind of councils, routes, which are, there's like M and O, which are all the kind of orbital cycle routes from the council, and then the numbered ones, which kind of go out radially from the city centre. And it's got a whole bunch more interesting data with things. So if we zoom in a bit, we can see there's this really dark blue, and that's actually showing where there's a segregated cycle lane. So like the general kind of paler blue that road is because that's cycle route 7. But like all the bit through Wavertree Tech Park is just on the road, and it's just that there's a bunch of signs saying this is cycle route 7. And it's reasonably quiet, but then you get along here, and then there's actually a segregated cycle lane, which runs alongside like this side of the road. So like because we've got all the data and we can pick different ways of showing things, we can just start to do stuff like that where, you know, I don't think Google Maps shows you that kind of level of of detail on the sorts of stuff that it.
When did the council, have they had those numbers in Mappers always?
They've had them for many years, yeah.
I didn't know that they had.
You see them on the little kind of blue bike route signs.
Oh, I'd only ever seen the national cycle route ones.
No, they're like, I think the National Cycle Network ones are in red, and then the council ones are in blue. They need more signs, really, because there are definitely places where it takes you through like a bit of a housing estate or something, and if you don't really know where you're going, it's quite easy to get lost, and then you stop seeing signs, and then you're suddenly like, oh, I'm nowhere near where I'm supposed to be going. But yes, those are council ones they've had for many years. And there's a whole bunch of different, like shortbread looks like that. I don't know what's special about shortbread, but whether it's just like a nicer colour scheme. And then the humanitarian one, again, like it's partly just a different screen. There is, I thought there were more than those in the standard website, but yeah, because you've got lots of different sorts of data, then you can show different ways for different people and for what sorts of things they want. So it's basically what the kind of database behind it is, just a big database of geographic things. So like if there's something that's verifiable, basically permanent, and you're not going to put any copyright information in it, then anybody can contribute to OpenStreetMap, and that's their kind of rules are, if somebody went to the place on the map and the map says there is a postbox here, would you see a postbox? And if you would, then like you can map it. And like if it's I don't know, a tent in Sefton Park because there's a festival on, like while you're there, then yes, while it's there, you could go to Sefton Park and see it, but it's not going to be there for a long time, so mostly you wouldn't map that because it's not going to be a kind of thing that will be around for a long time. And you know, obviously any building or whatever is going to get demolished at some point, so there's some kind of, you know, general. I mean, mostly you could go and edit it and delete it later, but generally things like, I think even a whole summer you probably wouldn't put it in there. I mean, I'm also not the person who makes the rules, like everybody makes the rules, so like I don't know for definite, but my feeling is that that wouldn't be kind of long-term enough to get mapped, but I don't know for definite. So there are different tools that we will get to later that would cover some of that sort of stuff. But so you generally wouldn't put that into the OpenStreetMap one, and similarly you wouldn't put stuff that's like, oh yeah, this is my favourite restaurant, like the restaurant you would put in, but maybe not tag it like, you know, Adrian's best restaurant in Liverpool. So there's like if it's verifiable by somebody else, I suppose somebody could verify by taking me there and going, is this the best? But I don't think that would be quite in the spirit of the rules. so that's the kind of core OpenStreetMap website. But then you can also do things like, let's see what this one looks like. OpenStreetMap. So there is, let me see if I can zoom out a bit. Actually, let me just make the website bigger. That would be a better way of doing it. And so, you know, like people have mapped all sorts of things. This is Rostock. Let's see, I should have had a better. Ooh, we're up there. Yeah, mostly all of the things are just going to be basically Liverpool based is when I go to. I mean, we could do if I knew where Sealand was, but you get Burbo Bank. Actually, the Little Men, I don't know if the Little Men are in. Like they could be, because they're like, and I suspect we should go and look at that in a minute. But yeah, you get to see where all the buoys are on the channel that the ships will go down. I suspect on this map you probably can't see the Little Men, but if we go back to OpenStreetMap and work out whereabouts they are, let's go to the standard one and see if that's. The sea was much more in on the standard one. And so we can then query features and we'll see if any of them pop up around here. Yeah, I don't know. We should go back and look at them a bit later.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
There's a line there in the sea that says Sefton.
Oh, there you go. There is some.
Oh, yeah, they are the metal men.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they are all mapped.
There's a line there that says Sefton, but it's in the sea rather than in the shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out recently that one of the reasons Sefton Council has, Sefton Council has so much land is because it owns the shoreline, whereas a lot of other places don't. Same with Sefton
Okay.
and Wirral. So I was wondering whether that line meant that Sefton owns all the way up to there.
So we're all.
No, they do, apart from Sefton Council, Wirral Council, and like there's a number of other ones.
So Sefton.
Yeah, there's like a
Don't
line,
know
not
where.
where the Sefton coastal map, but in the sea.
Yeah, you can zoom out a bit.
There.
Oh, that boundary there, Liverpool City region. Yeah, so that must be.
Look, it says Sefton.
Yeah. So that.
But that's not the same everywhere, because we know that the king owns a lot of the shoreline and charges the lifeboats for
Yeah.
being launched anyway. So.
But yes, so I think that will be the correct place for it. So yes, you can then do looking at the sea, viewing things differently. There's also Open Inframap, which, let's try that one. So a whole bunch of people have mapped kind of like power lines and substations and all sorts of things like that. So that's what some of this is. So this is all OpenStreetMap data. These are just different views into it because the database has like a huge amount, like, because it can be mapped and like anybody can contribute to the map. And so like, you know, OpenStreetMap contains the sum total of all of the kind of mapping geeks' interests, I suppose, basically. So you get all sorts of things.
Can you see the great power line that goes under the sea to America?
Is there a power line that goes under the sea to America?
Yeah, there is.
A power line, not a
Wait, no, sorry, maybe
communication line.
internet, yeah?
Uh,
I think it might be.
so I guess these ones are mostly showing. There's one that comes into Southport somewhere because
Yes, no, that is what I meant.
there's telecoms. Let's put the telecom stuff on. There we go. So yeah, there you go. There's some Hibernia Southport cable landing station. So yes, you can. That's the answer.
Can we see power lines?
Big power, yes, but I don't think we've got any power lines running to America, have we?
No, that didn't.
Yeah.
I meant local power lines. Oh, did you find out like where the?
I mean, that's what if we then go and look at. Let's turn the telecoms layer off. So these 132 kilovolt like lines are, I mean, like there is the Kirby substation. There's definitely, you know, these ones here are coming over ground. Like, because I know, because I've cycled past Kirby substation lots. Like I know, I can see things when I go past them. Yeah, I mean there are underground ones as well though. On this map, there you go. That one's underground. So yes, this is good for you know, Russians when they're invading or something. This is open infra map, open infrastructure map, basically. But yeah, again, it's just, you know, the data's all in the main OpenStreetMap, but the one that you just go to when you get to the website, they've kind of picked what people expect to see on an online map, rather than like, here's everything that's in the database.
So is it one database, or is it just, like if you download it, do you get everything? Or
so you can download geographical slices, because if you download all of it, it is lots and lots and lots of data.
But if I download Merseyside, I get the power
Yeah.
distribution and the telecoms and
Yep.
cycle paths all in one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, it's all,
Used for all of them at once, but like, you know.
yeah, like they get very big, the data sets, which is why there are then a whole bunch of different ways of getting a subset of the data set for just the area that you care about, rather than the whole globe, because yeah, it is. Like it's points, lines, and areas are the kind of ways that things are organized, and then things get tagged. And so there are different tags for different, like, so there's a tag that will say, this line is the road and it's the A570. And then there'll be another one which will be like, this is like the Lister Drive to, National Grid to Lister Drive, Kirby thing, and it's got circuits. These are all tags. So we'll see a bit more about that sort of stuff a bit later on. One of the other things you can do is, let me see what the is you can print the maps out. So like, I know lots of people do, but strictly speaking, Google Maps is copyright and you can't print it out. And so that's one of the nice things with OpenStreetMap, is that it's licensed under a very kind of permissive, you need to say that it's copyright OpenStreetMap contributors, but you can go to websites like this one, which will let you go and choose an area and then download a big PDF and then print out a nice high-res version of some area of the map. So I stupidly haven't brought a map through because it's in the other room, but I can show you a picture of, I don't know exactly where it is, just the kind of tree, but I've got a picture of it on the internet. So that is a map that I did, not using the previous website that I just showed. This was using a slightly different website, which is all open data, but annoyingly the university who kind of developed it and released it, they used to have a server that was running that let you kind of use it without having to spin it all up on your own computer, but they turned that off a few months ago. And so you'd have to kind of get the software yourself and run it yourself. But it's all open source. You, like, you know, as long as you know how to follow some instructions and run some software, you can do. And so this was a map of the routes that we used to take, or that we do often take on, there's a bunch of us go out riding on a Friday night. And these are the kind of where we get to around the city. So we get all over the place. It wasn't all in one ride, obviously, but the kind of pink bold lines are traces that I'd captured on my phone, and then the background map is OpenStreetMap data, and that's all then rendered in kind of a, oh, there we go, Terry has got one of the posters. Can do, yeah. Or, I mean, or put it on the front and then people can have a look later or something. Yeah, whichever. So that's, all OpenStreetMap data, as you'll see from the little copyright in the bottom right corner. When it's not horribly destroyed by the aliasing of the JPEG. But yeah, like there's some open source software let me kind of pull down that, pick the area I wanted. Had to do a little bit of working out how to pull in the water on top of it, because this easy way of doing it just got me roads and buildings. But again, it's OpenStreetMap data I could go and fetch, and then I could overlay my GPX traces on top of it in order to make that poster to kind of show, where we get to and when we go out for rides. And in a kind of similar vein, this one I only found out about yesterday, but I think it's just an excellent website. When I can type it right. Did it? Yeah, it's also possible that I just didn't spell it right. And, let's just go with, that's what I just typed in. No, it's just that I can't type. I mean, yes, I'm with you on that, but I definitely couldn't type as well. And so this is a web service that lets you basically either get posters, or Spielteppich is like a playmat. Like, it's quite expensive. But if you really wanted a kid's playmat of like where you live, this website will go and get the OpenStreetMap data and then make you so I mean, I suppose it's not really, a few €100 to get one, but and you'd need to know German as well, which my German, I have got GCSE in German, but my German is, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I just thought it was a really nice use of the OpenStreetMap data set. So obviously you're all now working at wanting to know how you would get an app on your phone that would do OpenStreetMap-y sort of stuff. And so there are a couple of, there are many different apps that will use OpenStreetMap data. Actually, Facebook uses OpenStreetMap data for all of their maps, and contributes quite a bit of, I don't know exactly how much, but they do pay towards it. And I think basically it's cheaper than using Google, and they don't want Google to have any kind of hold over them. So they're much happier kind of going, yes, let's do this open source one and take its data instead. Tom? Yes. And I guess they're kind of walking that sort of balance of trying to get as much as possible out. I don't think it's just Facebook. There are other big corporates that do, and they will do quite a bit of contributing back to the, as well as just, I think, paying for servers and things. They do also. They have it. They have some sort of a cleaned up version of it instead, so there's a bit of a lag in taking edits, because obviously anybody can change OpenStreetMap, and Facebook probably don't want, it gets vandalized because anybody can do stuff on it. Mostly the vandalism doesn't last for very long because there's lots of eyes on the map as well, and so people tend to notice particularly big, more high profile stuff. There was some stuff around the time of the Ukraine war kind of kicked off, where there were a lot of new streets created saying I can't remember exactly what it was now, but kind of with slogans. So there'd be like and they'd just do a road that went from Liverpool to Hong Kong or something, and was called like Free Ukraine or something. Like, and then it would just show up on all the map tiles, which made it a bit of a mess for a day or so, or probably not even that long. Partly just if you pick the wrong tile sets, because they don't always get regenerated. I think the core tile set was probably vandalized for very little time before that got reverted and regenerated. I think so. I think they've generally been pretty good with that sort of stuff. I mean, I don't follow it super closely, but yeah, yeah. So I think they do a pretty good job of keeping the useful stuff. So this is Osmand, which is a it's not just for Android. There is also an iPhone version, but it's a map app that runs on your phone. You download the maps to it, so that's the other nice thing, is that can all be offline, so you don't need a phone connection. So if you're going walking in the middle of nowhere where there's no phone signal, you'll just have the OpenStreetMap data on your phone already. So you don't need to go and download it to be able to see things. You can track where you're going. I tend to use an app called OSM Tracker on my phone to do the tracking, but that's because I've got a really old phone, and I think Osmand wants too many resources, so it gets kind of closed down when it's running in the background, and so it doesn't trap super well. But I think that's more my phone than anything else. Another one that's really nice, although I think is Android only, is Comaps, which again, same sort of deal. It's an app for your phone, uses GPS to work out where you are, obviously, downloads all the maps. I mean, it will download the stuff automatically whilst you're using it, but you can also just go and download areas of the country that you care about to pull all the data down beforehand to have it offline. So those are kind of useful for getting around and wanting to see where you are and that kind of thing. So coming on to how you might kind of create maps of your own that you want to share with people. And so this is a website called UMap. I mean, this is a particular map on UMap, so the background is all OpenStreetMap data, and it's kind of an OpenStreetMap project, but it's like Google My Maps if you use that at all. And so this is one that I use just to show. This is basically the online version of the poster. And so I've uploaded different GPX traces from my phone that I tracked with OSM Tracker, to then put them on different layers, and you can go and, I can kind of get rid of one so you can see stuff better as to where you particularly want to go. And then you can share this map with anybody because it's just on the internet. So this one's lots of GPX traces. If I go and find my other maps, then you can see there are things like, it's not very up to date because I don't use it very often, but I did try doing a map of Adrian's favourite restaurants for when people come to visit, and I could just be like, oh, here's a map of places that might be worth going to. As I say, it's probably very out of date now. The Caledonia is still on there, yes. So yes, so that's not super up to date these days, but basically shows that you can just go and create a new map to show different things. The other thing we can do is we can pull in live data from elsewhere. So I We'll come on to where this is getting its data from, or how it's getting its data in a minute. But this is a map that I created. And so with the UMap, you can choose which tile set you want as the background. When people load it, they can then go and choose different ones. Not with the data one. Where's the, with the, let me get rid of the data browser for a second. Yeah, so you can choose different background sets. And of course, this is working really slowly because I'm doing a demo. And what this is trying to do with that progress bar you see kind of spinning across the top is load where all the bike parking is on the map. And I suppose this demonstrates that it is live data, which also is slow to load sometimes. But basically, this is going off and pulling data out of OpenStreetMap to then display it on a map to show different things. Let me see if the indie manufacturing map works any better. This is not boding well for a bit later on in the talk where I'm wanting to use the service that is obviously running slow at the moment. Yeah, this isn't going to pull it in either. So I guess we'll see if it is Overpass Turbo that's running slowly or not. So this is a website called Overpass Turbo, which is a nice way if you want to go and find out about things on the map and kind of query the data. You can go and do, this is sort of like a query editor for OpenStreetMap. So I don't know, is there anything that anybody would like to know what there is or where there is on the map? Like a thing we should look for? So like cycle parking or tidal information. Charity shops. That's a better one. And so what we'll do is we will go to wiki.openstreetmap.org, which is the wiki for OpenStreetMap. And then we will we'll make it a bit bigger, which I don't know if I'm making it bigger enough for everybody or not. Charity shop. Let's see if we can search for charity shop. There we go. So the tag for charity shops is shop equals charity. I mean, lots of these tags are quite obvious once you get to work out what they are. And so we can go into here. Which query box? Overpass Turbo. So sorry, let me just. I just went to overpass-turbo.eu, so it's just a website. As I say, I'll stick all of the. I don't know. So this is a way that you can query the data that's in the database. So this isn't this is me being like, okay, let's find out how many shop equals charity. And so it's going to find, there is a little wizard that makes it easier to run through this. But basically it's going to find nodes, ways, and relations is what NWR is, which is just kind of how stuff is stored in the database, where the tag is shop equals charity. And it's going to use the bounding box, which is basically just what is shown over here on the right. And if I run this, we can hope that Overpass Turbo is going to respond in time. And if not,
is this what you do when you were trying to find out places that weren't within a mile of a charity shop?
yeah, because this would let you find all the charity shops, and then you could show stuff afterward. Like you could then work out what's within a mile. But sometimes the service is a bit overloaded, it seems. Somebody would go and put that into OpenStreetMap, which we will see in a bit.
Maybe it's getting a little bit warm. Maybe we could have a little
can do. We could put the aircon on for a bit and see how.
Yeah, can I give everybody a moment to go and get a drink, have a bit of water?
Query language because it's too far away.
Right, yes, and it's a little bit out. It's some kind of weird query language of its own, I think, but the wizard does show, like, helps talk you through it. But I guess whenever I'm using it, I'm actually just, like you saw me do just there, where I just delete whatever the last one I did, and just type in like, shop equals charity now. That's all right. Yeah.
That's why hidden presentations is very large text.
Adrian, you map you opened the other time. How is it different from Mapbox?
I think Mapbox is a way of getting the OpenStreetMap data, isn't it? I think they have that as one of the data sets that they allow,
Yeah.
but I don't know for definite.
Yeah, and you know, like it works with OpenStreetMap.
Right. Okay.
But I know you could like change like how you want your map to look.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know
They've
if
got
it
some
has-
tile sets and stuff,
yeah.
haven't they? Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if it has like this feature where you do.
Query things. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. Just gonna get a drink.
So many people love maps.
Of course. Okay, we've got some data. Didn't work on Jackie. Right. You've had enough time for the database to return an answer. And we can see we now have three circles. And so there is the British Heart Foundation have got a shop on Broadway in Norris Green. And Woodlands Hospice also have one. And what's that third one? Are they both Woodlands Hospice? Okay, that one's Woodlands Hospice. That one's
Why are they called ways
and that
rather than
one's
nodes?
because it will be a building, which will be an area, so there'll be the walls of the building.
So I wrote down node, way, and
Relation, yeah. So a node is just a point.
And a shop is not a point.
Well, because a shop is a physical building rather than a single
I see.
thing. Some things do get mapped just as a point within the building, that because the building will be mapped as a building, and then like
Well, is bike parking a node?
bike parking is generally a node.
Oh my god.
Well, you don't have to. It depends what you want. But like, there is a really easy way to look for all three, because if we just look for nodes or relations, relations is more for things like this is cycle route 7, which is then going to go across lots of ways, because there'll be lots of different roads that will map up to that. So generally, that's what those ones are. And then I won't try running another one, but we could drag the map around somewhere else, and we could see, we could run the query again, or we could run it for something else. You can also get the data. So if you're wanting to do something programmatic with it, like this is GeoJSON by the looks of it. And there are a whole bunch of ways. If you export it, you can get it different ways, like either to download them, or you could get the URL so that you can then send stuff to it.
If you downloaded it as a GPX and
Uh-huh.
uploaded it to something, it would just show the points rather than the route.
Probably, but I don't know for definite. I mean, you could try it out.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're downloading like a set of them, and you want to have a shop, if you want to have a thing which just had all the charity shops on.
Yeah, so the map that I was trying to show you earlier with all of the bike parking on, there is a way on UMap where you can basically tell it, go and do this query on Overpass Turbo, and with the answer you get back, display that.
But how do you make it live rather? Is it live?
It does it when somebody loads, so that kind of spinning bar we saw, if you do a GPX, it's not. A GPX is just a GPX. But if you told it, there's a, like, I think it's a bit, I have done it for those sorts of things. There is a very long video on my YouTube channel of me doing a live screen sharing session thing where I talked somebody through building that map, if you want to go and look into it. But yeah, like basically you can go and get the URL. Sorry? And then UMap will go when you go to it and be like, okay, yeah, let me go and find, which is why it didn't load, because Overpass Turbo is running slow at the moment. But when you were talking about things within a mile of the charity shops earlier, that reminded me of something that I'd forgotten I was going to put into the talk. So we'll do it now. Yeah, but I'm happier just telling you that I'm making stuff up. So this is a website that I did over, like, basically during COVID when I had nothing better to do. But there's a OpenStreetMap kind of related project, which name escapes me at the moment. But you can basically load in the route planning, so you can load in the bus timetables and the train timetables, and then it will do route planning. So it could do multimodal route planning, so you can basically do kind of like, oh, well, yeah, you should walk over here, and then you should get this bus for a while, and then you should get on this train, and that will let you get where you want to go to. And one of the other things it does is it will build isochrones, and isochrones are basically what these little weird jaggedy shaped things are on this map, and they're effectively how far you can get in 15 minutes. Like the green ones are 15 minutes if you've got reduced mobility, which the routing software should take into account any kind of access things for wheelchairs and stuff, so it shouldn't send you downstairs and things like that, as long as they've been mapped. And also I think it had a slightly slower average speed, so you can't get as far in 15 minutes. The red ones are how far you can walk within 15 minutes. And basically I was just picking a whole bunch of different random bits of the areas of the city relatively arbitrarily. The bits that are missing are because I didn't know where the center point of, I suppose actually maybe I've got the center point of Wavertree, but there's some that I didn't have a center. I was like, I don't know quite where the center point is. And as you can see, it doesn't work very well once you've zoomed in lots. And it works really badly. I've done a terrible job of building this website. But we could turn on the cycling around Anfield, for example. So the cycling one, it doesn't do by default because they're quite big and they all overlap lots. And you really can't see it on, like you can just about make it out there, is the kind of pale blue. So I just, basically this website like the cycling one, like you can, sort of see it coming and disappearing, can't you? So that's just, I don't load them by default on this website. This is a website that I built. And so these isochrones are all GPXs that I exported from the software that goes and finds out how to make. So I wrote a bit of software that went and had all these, like the supposed center point of Anfield and the center point of the city center and things like that. We just wanted to see how much things overlap and whether Liverpool's already a 15-minute city. And it's interesting that Norris Green is not as accessible as lots of other places because the green area is quite a bit smaller than the red area. But yeah, you can generate isochrones from a set of things. So you could query Overpass Turbo to find all the charity shops and then query this service that I can't remember the name of to generate the, like what's within a mile or within a certain amount of walking or what have you in order to map those sorts of things. So that's got us to, yes. Yeah, I mean, you could probably work out where there are shops and things and stuff like that because you will have that data set. I mean, I did start to build my own map tiles on this because one of the things I thought would be quite nice would be to work out within 15 minutes, like, because the idea with 15-minute cities is that you can find somewhere to work, you can go to the shop, there'll be some green space, there'll be like a doctor's, and so, and all of that stuff is in OpenStreetMap, and I was kind of, like I would have liked, it would have been nice to have taken it further on and worked out stuff and like maybe shown that some of the areas that you would think of as being like, oh yes, these are really good bits of Liverpool because they're in the leafy kind of southern bits, actually mightn't be that great for jobs. Like if you need a warehousing job, you're not going to find a warehousing job in Allerton maybe or something like that. You know, maybe you would. Like it'd be interesting to kind of pull that sort of stuff out. So we've done lots of ways, we've kind of looked at the different ways you can see the data. We've looked a bit about how you might get the data out and do something with it. But obviously the other thing we haven't covered yet at all is how to contribute to OpenStreetMap. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do for that. So there's a website called Map Complete, which gives you a whole bunch of different kind of projects to go and do stuff. So I haven't used it very much, but we can go and have a look at Cyclofix, for example, which is then going to load a bunch of data. And I think it's going to ask, oh, I need to zoom, do I need to zoom in further? Yes, okay. So this is basically showing you the OpenStreetMap data and trying to find things that they don't know the answers to and asking you about them. So I could upload a picture and I could, there you go, what is the brand of the shop? So this doesn't have, it's not part of a bigger chain. And I am going to have to log in to answer this. So let me log in. And so OpenStreetMap, you go and get an account with, and so that's just logged me in from my OpenStreetMap account. And let's do Danny a good service. We'll save that review. There we go. And it's not part of a bigger chain, so we will save that question. What's the email address? I don't know what the email address of the bike kiosk is, or the phone number. Probably shouldn't give out Danny's phone number. And they take payment by cards and cash. And so this is basically just doing a little wizard thing to ask me a bunch of questions about things near wherever I happen to be browsing. And then it's going and adding tags to OpenStreetMap in the background. I mean, it sort of rents out bike, but let's skip that question. Doesn't offer tools for DIY bicycle repair. So that's then going to put service : bicycle : DIY equals no onto the thing. Bicycle's washed. I don't think they really do bicycle cleaning. They don't have instant access. I mean, dogs probably are allowed, but who knows? So there we go. Skip that question. So yeah, so we've added a whole load of additional bits of information to OpenStreetMap. So this is if you ever want to browse around and see what sort of things you can contribute to it really easily. I mean, you need an account on OpenStreetMap, but that's free to get. So exactly, you could do some of this. Active Travel Hack Day. There is another website called Every Door. Well, sorry, not website, but an app, which is basically, this is a really nice way for just doing editing when you're out and about and you've just got your phone on you, because you can basically open Every Door, it'll pull up the GPS where you are. You can then drag it around and click and kind of you can add a note if you just want to put something in to kind of remind you when you go back to a computer to go and kind of check it properly. Or you can just add stuff on the fly onto the map. So you can do things like adding street numbers onto buildings, because lots of the houses and stuff get mapped by armchair mappers, as they call them, because there's a load of kind of aerial imagery in the editor. So there's a lot of editing you can do from home, but you won't know what the street number, like the house number is, because you can't see the front door. And so if you're near the front door and you can see the front door and you know what the house number is now, you can go in Every Door and add it. I mean, I use it for things like bike parking and stuff. When I park my bike up, I'll sometimes look and be like, oh, I wonder if this is on, and I can just quickly go, oh yeah, there's some bike parking here, to add that, and to add some more stuff to the map. So that's Every Door. If you like things that are a bit more kind of gamified, I suppose, for want of a better term, there is Street Complete, which is also an app. It's only for Android, unfortunately. But Street Complete is one that basically uses the GPS on your phone, and like we just did with Map Complete, where it asks us a bunch of questions, Street Complete does the same sort of thing on your phone, but asks you about things that are near where you are. So you open it and it'll be like, how many stories does that building opposite have? And you'll be like, oh, this is 3 stories, and it's made of brick, and it's got a slope roof, and all those sorts of things get tagged and can add stuff. So if you like kind of, I don't know, playing a game a bit whilst you're walking the dog or something, then you can get Street Complete and just open it whilst you're out and about, and just contribute stuff to the data to OpenStreetMap that way. And then the kind of main way to add things is just if we go back to the OpenStreetMap itself, and you can't really read it at all, but that says edit. It's partly because I need to zoom in. Yeah, I'm way out, aren't I? And so I conveniently went and found something that we can add to the map earlier so that we can do some live editing of the map, if I can remember where abouts the bike kiosk is now. Here we go. So now, yes, the edit button is available, so I can click edit, and then this is going to load the editor. And so now you can see we've got some aerial imagery that's underneath the map, and this is all of the OpenStreetMap stuff. So you can get things like, there is a tree there, and somebody has mapped the tree, but they didn't say what kind of tree it was or how high it is. They just mapped that there was a tree there. Or you get the ways, which will then show, and that's a footpath because it's pedestrianised, but it's got a name, the surface is paving stones, it's not a bridge or anything like that, like who's allowed to use it, like cars aren't allowed to use it. It doesn't specify horses, but they probably are. I doubt it's very often that horses go up through the university. But yeah, this is all of the data. So what I'm going to do is, like in here, there is now a container that is the bike kiosk, their new location. And it's so new that it's not on the aerial imagery, but I went earlier and worked out where it was to be able to add it in. And so what I need to do first is I pick this node and disconnect it from this feature, and then I can drag this down there, and what else do I want to do? Add a new node, drag the new node kind of like this, and then this one needs to move back a bit because they've taken up some of the car park with the container. So then we've got an area there, and then I can add a new area, and I can put it, it's going to go from there to there to there to there. And so now I have this new zone, and you can search for what sort of thing you might want to add. So, you know, if we were adding a charity shop, we would just start typing in charity shop. But it's not a charity shop, it's a bicycle shop, which is at the top because I was playing around earlier just to check that I knew what I was doing. And so we can click and say that it's a bicycle shop. Its name is the bike kiosk. It doesn't have an operator. I mean, yeah, but I don't know if that's a bigger, like, I mean, I suppose. Peloton, Liverpool, there we go. I don't know what the address is. It is a building. Can anyone remember what the hours are? For?
It said 11 till 5.
It's definitely earlier than 11. Yeah, that's wrong. Because it's like 9:30 or something till 5. So maybe we'll just say that it's Monday to Friday 9:30. I think it's 9:30 till 5. Payment types, they take cash and credit card and debit card. Bicycle services, they do repair, and they've got a pump. They do second-hand bikes, don't they? And parts, and spare parts. Yeah, they're probably the main things. So there isn't a... Yeah, I'm surprised the website isn't listed as one of the things that I would automatically do, but I can just type website, and that's Peloton, actually HTTPS peloton.coop. So there's all of that. So that's done. And then the other thing, because I went and looked to check how big the container was earlier, I actually spotted there's a load of bike parking behind it, which is not on there. So I'm just going to do this as a point. Like bicycle parking. So the capacity, there were 26 Sheffield stands that I counted. And so each of those will take 2 bikes. So that's 52. The type is, no, so it's just a stand. Going to leave the cupboard unknown because some of it was kind of underneath like that massive lecture theatre. So I think it's public. It might not be complete. And there is no fee for using it. So there we go. So now I've added 2 things to the map. And so then I can save them. Add the new bike shop and bike parking next to it. So this is basically, all of those changes are going to get added to OpenStreetMap, so I can just add a little comment for anybody else who's looking at the changes as they come in to see what happened.
So all the changes verified by humans?
It just gets added and then it checks it before it gets added. Yeah. So they're not like, I haven't clicked the I would like someone to review my edit, so they will just go live.
Do you have any trusted status?
No. I mean, there are ways that people will look, can like watch an area and get notifications of changes in that area. And so there are people who do that sort of thing and then notice them. There's a bunch of like mailing lists for different things, like one about what new tags should we have, because there's a general kind of consensus around what the tags might be, because there's nothing to actually stop you from just typing whatever you like into the tag fields. But mostly, and I don't know if there's anything that flags up new editors or whether people who've been editing for a while kind of get, not exactly a free pass, but like maybe get scrutinized a bit less because they're a bit more trusted. Maybe there's just a way of like new people like get flagged up a bit kind of more prominently for people who are watching it. I don't know for definite. So that sort of stuff does happen, and there are sometimes people arguing about routes that they think, and sometimes, I mean, I mostly see that because I'm on a few of the mailing lists, and like there's a mailing list for the UK, and so sometimes you'll get somebody going like, spotted that somebody's gone and mapped like some path across a field, and I don't think it's really there, or they've added some tags saying that it's okay for cars to drive across it, but it looks like it's just across a field. Like, probably shouldn't be just like cars, yes, because that will mean that the routing software will be maybe going like, yeah, cool, let's route a car across there. And so then, they can have conversation, they can comment on changes and message people who've done them. So everything gets tied to who it is who edits them. And so stuff can get reverted or deleted. Like you're not allowed to use any copyright data, like when you're adding stuff to it. So you can't just be like browsing Google Maps and going like, oh yeah, Google Maps says there's a coffee shop there, I'll just add this coffee shop, because it might not exist. There are trap streets and things on kind of copyrighted maps to try and catch that sort of stuff. And if it gets found out, then they can just revert all of your changes to take it out of the database. So I think you would just have a copy of the data that was wrong. I don't know for definite.
From when I downloaded.
From when you downloaded it.
So every now and then I should like read.
You should re-download. Yeah, because if nothing else, it's going to get better. Because like the map's always getting added to, and like new roads get built, or buildings get demolished, or bike shops move, so on and so forth. So it will only show up once the map gets regenerated, which happens fairly quickly, but there you go. But doesn't happen instantaneously. So it would have shown up for anybody else who's gone into the edit bit, because that will be like live data from the database. But all of the tiles get kind of regenerated by a server sometimes, so it'll presumably get queued to be regenerated, and has. I suspect if we go and look in the cycling layers that they don't get regenerated as quickly, and so yeah, it hasn't shown up yet on the cyclosm or the cycle map one like it does. They look a bit different. I'm not totally sure quite why there are two, but so that's not actually, that's the old location of the bike kiosk, which they still have, but it's like users should go down here. But it will show up like that when it's reloaded, or when regenerated, sorry. Well, I haven't deleted that one from the database, so that one will still show up, and there'll just be two locations with bike kiosk. Yes. So maybe that's it. This is the cycle map for people who like drinking, and this is the cycle map for people who aren't as into drinking, but want to know where there are segregated cycle lanes, because this one shows those as well. Don't know what are these. Like, possibly, probably. So what, should we go and... So the Caledonia is still on there. So I don't know how you would...
Yeah, because sometimes actually Google has a thing where it says like permanently closed or...
Yeah. So let's go back to Wiki and see what we can do with closed pub. Let's see. Okay, so that's not useful to put it in there. Dead pub? Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it is, but amenity used and disused equals pub. Okay. So I guess that's what we would want. We would want amenity disused, and then disused equals pub. Face. Upload. So there we go, we have closed the Caledonia. I should upload the photo of the graffiti that's on one of the panels over the window now, which says "Miss you," which is very nice. You don't need to, I've got a photo. But yeah, so I think that covers all the things that I was going to talk about. So I guess, does anybody have any questions? Yep.
Is that predominantly the act of collaboration with people? Say, for example, I think someone said about an event.
Yeah.
Where you have the event and you propose from here.
Yeah.
Could you have multiple, like, say, different icons and kind of dialogue boxes just to give? For me, it's
yes.
so I've got to be looking at
Let's This one has loaded now. Now we've gone and left it. So this was a project I did a while back called Indie Manufacturing. So different colours are different sorts of things. So like makerspaces is the blue ones, which has Birkenhack on it now, which wasn't there when I did this project, but because it pulls live data from OpenStreetMap, the map is still live. So it has added that because it's got the right tags. And does Liverpool is in the right place because again it's live data, so it's not on Hanover Street, which is where we were when I did this map, and then there's the Fab Lab at LJMU. But let me go and see if I think this one might be a good example for the sort of thing you're talking about, Terry, maybe. So this is one that I did with, that mostly that Taking Root up in Bootle did. I helped them out a bit and like just talk them through how they would use UMap. And then they have just added, let's see how long this takes to load. And that one's going to show better. So they've got different things, like the members are the ones that are showing up in blue. The green stuff is the routes, so that's got a route and some points of interest for the Bootle in Bloom, which you can also include photos and things into the data when it's popping stuff up. I can't remember how you do that now, but obviously you can. Yeah, so I think this is mostly just kind of markdown to pull those bits in, yeah. Obviously Overpass Turbo is taking forever to load the places to sit, because that's probably just showing where all the benches are. And then they had another route that was going from South Park to North Park in Bootle. So
So if you show us on this and more of the community concept, so you put that up there, take example one, someone said something's changed or you disagree with that information, incorrect, you type it. Can they put information on the map? You know, like on this, on the OpenStreetMap, there's an element where you can see things like there's an incomplete page here. So put all of those icons that need to be updated. Can you do the same with this and say the community could add to that?
I don't think you can with UMap. Like, you can add other people as editors. So like this is a map that Ali created, and she added me as an editor, so it's not just one person who can edit that. Oh, there we go. It's got all the benches. And so you can do ones where like people can collaborate on things. But I don't think the public in general can just add comments. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. This is in France somewhere, because it's umap.openstreetmap.fr. And then they picked the right kind of icons and stuff, so obviously the benches have got a bench icon. So you can, like if I not go and edit that one, let's go and find, bike routes, that will be. So I can just, if I can remember, I'm not logged in, that's the problem. So it did have, so there we go, let's go and look at bike routes. And so this, you do have this kind of browser over on the left that is for the different coloured lines, and you can type whatever you want in here. So on these ones, I add a little description of like, I give it a title and how long it took us to ride and how far it was, just so you get that kind of general information. But that can be anything you want, so you can do the key. If I click on the edit, that then lets me kind of edit stuff, so I can then go and draw. I can just freehand draw a new line on it if I want to. I don't know what that's, that's got a name. Hello world, there we go. And I can go and change the colour, so I can pick whatever colour I want for this. And I can make I can add text along the path. Terry asked a question. see what happens when I click off. Can I just close? Oh, no, I don't want to save it just yet. Yes, there you go. Terry asked a question. It's kind of written around that. It's not very easy to read, particularly on the projector, but it has done that sort of thing. And you can add individual points, and then again you get to pick the icon shape. Actually, let's not. Oops. Let me go across so you can actually kind of see it. So that's the default one. You can make it just a circle or a kind of point or a little drop pin. We can pick apparently emojis. Okay, that's going to get complicated, but you know, we can make it into a icon symbol. We should probably make that a drop, so we then get to see a little cup. So there's a whole bunch of different things around that sort of stuff you can do
Oh, what's the URL?
to kind of play around with it. So I think you could add an image URL, so you could just like draw an icon, post it on the internet somewhere, and then provide the URL here, and then it would load that as the picture to show. No, but like instead of the little cup that you can't really see very well, that would be whatever image it had loaded from the other thing. Anybody else?
Can you be live based on this? So I'm working on a project at the minute where I'm looking at material defects for social housing properties
Uh-huh.
around the whole of the UK.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we're trying to hotspot areas where a number of defects of different types, so damp mold, high-rise buildings, those kind of things. But just wondering if you can actually feed in data to display those hotspots.
Yes, you can.
Because that information could feed back into the NHS as well for sending patients back home to see if it's safe for them.
So yeah, you can. I think this map is doing that. So all of these dots are places that I'd mapped some things, but the data for this, if I edit it and I pick. So this is the UMap tool, because that then takes the OpenStreetMap data and then overlays something of yours on top of it. And if I get the layers up, and I think if I edit, say, this layer and scroll down, and I think there'll be something, yep, there we go. So there is this remote data option, and that is a URL to a JSON file that's on a web server of mine. And so I have some code. This isn't very live these days, so it doesn't really ever change now, but I used to have some code that would like map these things for me, and then it just updated that JSON file on my web server, and then this map goes and fetches that when somebody goes to the web to this map, it will go and fetch that JSON file and then use it, because it has a whole load of kind of points or lat longs or things like that. I think it's GeoJSON probably rather than just JSON, but yeah, like, and I think there are other options. It's JSON that's geographic focused, like I can't remember. But and I think there's a few different data formats it can use, but you could do that where you would like build the data elsewhere and then just serve it to UMap when it needed it. Anything else?
I assume it's fairly easy to use API calls to query data and onto your own UMap, or?
So, I mean, the updating data would be kind of like that one, where you would publish some JSON somewhere or some data in some format, and then tell UMap to go and fetch it. For getting data out of OpenStreetMap, Overpass Turbo, like there's a website which is what we were using just then, but mostly that's just a go and work out what query you want, and then you can go and use that query in the future, and it's just a HTTP call that will then give you a chunk of like GeoJSON or KML, or there's a bunch of different formats to get stuff out afterwards. So your code could then just go and fetch it to get that stuff live. Cool. Thank you all for coming. I will stop recording.